pen? I bring
Ralph, do you want me to give you a
Okay.
couple seconds to peruse the January 14th meeting minutes?
Pardon?
So would you like a couple of minutes to look at the January 14th meeting
I already
minutes?
have, thank you.
Okay,
I have as well.
I'm just checking.
And I did fix the typos. I sent you my mock copy, and then I did fix them, so those are fixed.
You need a
So I'll
motion?
entertain a motion.
I'll move that we accept
approve
the January 14th meetings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Report from the COA. Ralph.
Well, first of all, the COA is pretty much up and running again. The various programs that were suspended or delayed or minimized have been increased now and back to pretty much normal. The tax aid program, which is a normal offering by the COA, is back in session. Appointments are filling fast. As folks who really should know or do know, the appointments are for preparation of your tax returns. They're done in Chatham. The sign up is here in Harwich, COA. And they're designed primarily for low and moderate income folks, but we're not restricting it to Harwich residents, or there's no age requirement, so. Medical drivers, we need a couple more. That program is back in session again. Again, the requirement is probably a couple of rides a month at most, and it's between Harwich and, between Wellfleet and Hyannis. And again, appointments need to be made through the Council on Aging. The fitness programs are back in session for the most part. Some of them are already fully subscribed. The Senior Fit with Charlie Abate, as everybody knows. Tai Chi, Qigong, whatever that might be. And the Balance Boosters program is still good. The Family Pantry coordination with Council on Aging as far as delivering groceries for folks that need that service. Again, the COA has the appointment schedule for that. Similarly, for prescriptions, if anyone needs help with picking up their prescriptions, that can be arranged also through COA. Fuel assistance applications are ongoing. Again, this is a program that not too many people are aware of, and really they should be. It's a real good deal. Helps, especially in these days with the price of fuel. But again, COA will help in preparing those applications. Medical equipment, of course, wheelchairs and walkers and so on are always available. The lunch program is kind of growing slowly, I should say. Not too many people are coming in to eat on site, but the grab and go program is going pretty well. Some people are having theirs delivered, others are picking them up themselves. And again, I would urge anyone who is not getting the Council on Aging newsletter to arrange to do so. Either pick them up at the COA or arrange to get on the mailing list. And that pretty much covers it for COA.
Great. Glad to hear everything's back up.
Up and running.
Van, over to you. Is Rec doing anything in the winter? Cross-country skiing.
Yeah, we do have some programs ongoing, but one of the things that we happened was at our last meeting on February 15th, we finally had a quorum, because in the past we've had guys out, members out with COVID and families with COVID and so on and so forth. So we've had a tough go for a couple of months there. But we did meet on the February 15th, and we had the chief of police and in to talk with us about the beaches and the issues with Bank Street and Red River. We spent, his deputy was with us as well. We had a couple of members of the community businesses that were there to listen to some of the complaints that took place down at Bank Street particularly. A lot of vandalism, a lot of things going on down there, and they asked for some support to change the policies that we currently have in terms of when the beaches are open and when they're closed, and jurisdictions, and can they shut the beaches down if they see some things that are really not appropriate. So we're going to be holding a public meeting sometime in next month, March meeting, to try to get a sense from the community as to whether or not the beaches should be closed and when should they be closed, come up with some kind of a policy or game plan, if you will, in terms of trying to minimize some of the damages that's going on down at Bank Street. I guess the merchants down there, the business owners, were very, very concerned and very upset with some of the vandalism that's taken place on their own properties. So that's a major issue that we have to deal with, because I suspect that, you know, people want to use the beaches. You know, we're a tourism community, and you know, when do we close it, and how do we close it, and what's appropriate, and what's fair, and all those issues are going to come up. And we want to hear from the community before we take any further action and develop some kind of a policy that is fair and equitable, and understanding that there are, again, tourists that want to use our facilities, yet we got to keep these kids that are vandalizing our properties at bay and make sure that we do the right thing by all parties concerned. That took up pretty much of our meeting. We did have a few more items on the agenda. They did pass the construction of a couple of dugouts down at Potter Field, Memorial Field. The Cape Tech kids are going to construct those at their cost, so it's a freebie that we have. I've contacted the superintendent, who I know very well, and he was able to get his carpentry people to design and work on some dugouts for us, hopefully for this year, if not for this year, for next year. We're also talking about taking over Bassett Field and back and redoing that baseball field into a softball field that the league, the senior softball league, will pay for fully for the construction materials and everything. And then we gift it back to the town, but we want to be able to use it for our guys because we're growing tremendously in terms of numbers. And so we have to accommodate all these guys that want to play softball. We're getting younger and younger in terms of the age groups that we're bringing in, so that's something that we have to accommodate. Other than that, the meeting, that was the end of the meeting because several members had to leave, and so we didn't finish part of the agenda, but we will continue with it. But the main issue was the police and their concerns. That was a very lengthy meeting that we had with them. That's my report.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, we did appoint another member to the record.
Yes, I'm sorry, thank you. We
Do you have openings? Is
We
that
did
what's
have a
up?
vacancy on the, one of the members who was appointed couldn't continue the appointment because of work issues. And so I guess there were 3 candidates that applied.
Yeah, 3 women?
3 women. And we, I guess the Board of Selectmen did appoint one of them. So next month we'll have a new young lady available with children. So it's nice to get some new young blood in on the committee. You know, old guys like me and Frank Crowley and so on. We're active, but you know, we're getting up there. But it's nice to see some young people come back on board. And you know, recreation is for the young as well as for the old. So
It was an interesting appointment because it's the first time, I think, the nominating committee begged out and brought it to the full board because Don and I could not agree on the members, so.
For what was the disagreement?
Well, the disagreement, first off, there were 3 outstanding candidates, and so that made it very pleasant. Sometimes, you argue someone's not qualified, so it wasn't a negative discussion. The disagreement was that I felt maybe because I got pressure from some people, but there were some benefits having a younger woman. 2 of them were younger with young kids. And the one we appointed was impressed. I was impressed by her because she had actively gone after programs in other towns were not available here. And because her kids getting in. The other view was I don't want to get in trouble here, was retired and had more experience on budgets and programs from a sort of and policy member. She'd been actively involved in that. So she was extremely qualified. So our disagreement was more philosophical.
Sure.
Laura's looking at the policy issues, that was good. But you know, I looked at the committee, my view was, you know, we need some young blood as well.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and that argument won out in the end, but it was, you know, it was kind of strange, but it was, as I say, it was a good discussion, because and I'm meeting with with one of them maybe next week to convince her that we have other committees that I don't give up a volunteer graciously. I'm talking hopefully somewhere, another committee. You know, the Bank Street Beach, that was really a major deal a few years ago, and I hadn't heard about it for a while, but at that time, it was not only the beach was giving us trouble, I'll say kids, were also speeding up and down that street. So
Yeah, it
we
was
had
the
a lot of
speeding, the
complaints, not only
bonfires,
on
the vandalism,
not
you know.
only the beach, but it was the traffic and the
Yeah.
speeding at night,
Yeah.
and so it's a big issue. So I'm sorry that's come back again.
And it's not, I suspect that it's not, you know, I suspect it's not a lot of the Harwich kids that are doing this. It's the kids that come down for the summer, you know, maybe college kids, or maybe some outsiders that come in and they take, you know, they wanna have bonfires, they wanna do this and that and whatever, but there are certain policies and rules and regs that you have to follow. You know, if we, again, as I said, we are a tourism area, but again, you have to respect your property and, you know, use our beaches with some protocol and some dignity, and stop the nonsense and enjoy yourself, and let's move on. Yeah, but we'll work on it, we'll see where we go with it, I'm sure.
And at least the rec commission knows they have another really good policy person waiting in the wings should another member drop out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, we keep those on file.
Exactly.
Right.
Who was appointed?
Emily, excuse me, yeah.
Anyway, okay.
I lost.
I wondered if it was the one that I, no, but Phyllis.
Yeah, there was a
Your-
write-up
your
in the
vote-
No, it
newspaper,
wasn't-
in the Chronicle.
It wasn't Phyllis.
Wasn't Phyllis? Okay.
Yeah.
She's pickleballer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and very quiet, I already said that, so we'll keep her on file.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to old business.
So in the packet that I gave you, there was a letter. I know that we had talked about doing kind of a listening tour to get information about fees and what our constituents and people think in the town. So I did set up two. I think it's important that we do one during the day and one in the evening, because I
Sure.
really want to hear everyone's point of view. So I have it set up March 14th at 6 p.m. and March 15th at 11 a.m. And that truly will be just a listening tour. And you can read the letter. I try and explain that. I really want to know what people are thinking, what they're hearing. You know, at our last meeting, I showed you the information I gathered, which is pertinent and not pertinent. I mean, we have to really skew what we do in Harwich for Harwich.
Right.
So when I have those meetings, and I don't know if that's gonna be our March meeting, or if we're gonna set up another one, I'll collate all the information and bring it back to you on what people are saying and thinking, and, but I do think it's important to get those moving and getting some
Do
public
you want us,
opinion.
you want us to?
I think it's always great, people see me a lot, but they like to see important
Okay.
people like all of you sitting there, so it's another face or another connection, so if you can come to one or some, and if you just let me know, because if there's too many, I will post it as a meeting, just to cover us more.
Can I interject? I forgot something from the terms of
Of
my report. I think I
course.
should
Sure.
do. The Brooks Park lighting, the CPC money that we got for the Brooks Park lighting is finally up and running, okay? That was a long process, we got that done. They're all LED lights, I think there are 7 or 8 poles down there that were all replaced, and once those lights come on, it's really gonna beautify the entire area, so that guys that play pickleball will have a lot of lighting at night, and we hope to be able to do more in terms of Brooks Park with additional CPC requests, such as the basketball court and some additional pickleball areas for the folks to use. I understand there are over 400 people that are involved in pickleball at this time, so
Wow.
you know, we need to accommodate a lot of these folks that want to play pickleball, and so we're looking at that as potentially a CPC project, which will hopefully be approved by CPC committee. But there are a couple of things that we're doing down at Brooks that will continue to enhance that entire area. The fencing around the park, the ballpark has been approved already. We're just waiting for some RFPs to get that done. That project done, it's been approved and ready to go. It's shovel ready once we get the RFPs going. And Memorial Field down at the back of the White House, that has also been approved as new fencing down there for the Memorial Field. That's 30-year-old fence that was put up some years ago. So again, we're waiting for the RFPs on those, and once we get those RFPs out, the contractors come in, get those done, we'll be ready to go.
Great.
Carolyn, what day of the week is March 14 and 15?
I'm sorry, I should have put that down, I apologize. March 14th is a Monday,
Okay.
and the other one was,
15th
the
is a
15th would be a
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Wow,
Day
my
after
logic
would
has
be
just
Tuesday.
gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ralph, the names come to mind, it's Lee Mercurial.
I'm sorry?
Lee Mercurial.
Okay.
So do we wanna call the 15th our meeting?
That's totally up to you.
Cause
If-
it's technically, 3 days after, 4 days after our normal meeting.
Instead of a Friday, have the meeting the day
Having it
of
on
the-
that Tuesday, if that's okay with everybody.
It's Tuesday, we're doing Tuesday at
11.
11. Yeah.
Does that work?
Does that work?
Uh-oh, I think that's pickleball time. No,
It's
volleyball.
It's volleyball.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. Go ahead. Don't.
So what he's
Don't schedule
suggesting,
a mic,
we
huh?
meet at 10 and then go to the 11 o'clock hearing?
Would that work?
Yeah,
10,
Do you wanna do
And-
10?
sure.
and then go into,
Does
okay.
that give you
I'll
enough
post it
time?
as, it gives me plenty of time.
Another hour, all you need is an hour for your meeting?
Yeah, we shouldn't take long. We won't even probably need an hour depending on what we have.
Right.
So why don't we meet, then go to the hearing together?
Yeah.
Terrific.
Cool.
Good.
I will post it that way. Thank you.
Sure.
So that's the weight room, that answers. The newsletter I included because Van was kind enough to be our facilities committee person of the month for February. Brian has just turned in his March one, which means I'm looking at Angie or Ralph to be our next one.
Well,
Uh,
he does a lot of.
Too
good
late,
things.
she pointed at you
Just a
first.
little,
Ralph.
it's a blurb, but you write it yourself, you just
Right.
tell us who you are. It's just so someone
Well,
can
that's
connect
Ralph,
with
he
you.
does some awesome stuff in the community.
You both do. That will just make you and May,
Have you got
so
3 or 4 pages to spare?
we can make
Right.
it.
Mine, I'm like, could you find the small corner, It's like, guys, I'm still working,
So we're trying to do exactly what we talked about, highlight a volunteer, highlight a facilities committee member, highlight a group, highlight a weight room member. We're trying to connect the community with the building, so, I think it's great that we're giving them information on this committee. I think that, it's long past due to get the recognition you deserve, so. So I will follow up with one or both of you to get my April, Brian will tell you, I hound you till you give it to me.
Angie and I will arm wrestle to see who.
Okay.
My money's on Angie.
And we have to also, one of the other ones we'll spotlight is our liaison to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So I think that's
Larry's like,
important too.
can I resign?
I was enjoying this conversation.
So yes, the newsletter, we have March, is just about ready to go, we're waiting. We also thought we would try and feature a department and how they work with us, so we thought it'd be appropriate if we featured Anita in this one because she's
Definitely.
retiring.
Yes.
So I just think if we can show people how the building connects with other people that you might not think of. I don't think
Right.
people put the town clerk and the community center together, but we actually work frequently with the town
Right,
clerk's
right.
office on elections and, town meetings and so many different things.
Yeah.
So, we're just waiting for Anita's and we'll highlight her in that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you
So.
can bump me for her any day.
Nope, there's plenty of room. We're just growing. Remember, this is the growing. So that's that.
So that's old business.
Yes.
March open house,
Mhm.
new business?
So I had an opportunity to speak with the town administrator, and I brought forward my idea of an involvement fair which is kind of, you can call it an open house. I liked involvement because I thought we could showcase not only what we do in this building, but maybe work with the Selectmen's office and clubs and committees where they have vacancies, and just make it, do you wanna get involved, whether it's pickleball or senior softball, or if you want to volunteer somewhere within the building, or if there's a committee that, I think it would be a great thing if we could start to establish a townwide involvement fair so that we feature that. I would love it to grow, I'm not saying we can do it this year, but grow into a booklet that shows what every committee is doing, and, I think that we can only move forward with it. More information that we can highlight, the better for all of us. So I put this on here because my original idea was to do it in March, and he asked if we could kind of hold it back a little. He was thinking the April-May time, so I'm happy to accommodate that. And I truly don't know if he was speaking directly to the selectmen to see if they were interested in doing it. Again, I'm not speaking for the selectmen, but even if they're not, I still think the building should do it. I just thought involving the whole town seems like,
Sure.
a place to get information and,
And how would the program take place? I mean, what's the plan, if you will?
So I had a few visions, and that would be one of the things that I'd be working with the town administrator on, depending on what it is. Like, I would love to see, maybe some, throughout the day, maybe there's a time that, volleyball's playing, or there's a senior softball demonstration in the gym, or there's learn about pickleball during that time. While in the multi-purpose room, there's tables set up about clubs and organizations. Maybe we have some of the rug hookers who actually have their rugs on display, so that it's more visual and informational for people too. We'd invite the newspaper and invite the community to come in and just have an actual, see how to get involved in the town, so.
That sounds like part of a little Channel 18 show.
Well, we love Channel 18, so anytime we can use them, but I don't think that a lot of, I feel like I preach to the choir, because you certainly all know about all the things that we do and that's happening in the town, but there are some people, whether they're new to town or relocating, or they've just retired and they don't know what they can get involved in. I thought it was interesting that Larry just said, we hold on to our volunteers because there's always a place for them. Let's show them some of those other places. I'm sure Larry does a fabulous job talking about it, but maybe, when you were all talking about pickleball, I thought, wow, have we ever tried to do a pickleball where we partner with younger kids and they're teaching them? I don't know how popular it is in the schools.
It's very popular, it's been for years.
So
Yeah.
maybe we do a tournament of a round robin. There has to be, a younger and an older person on each. I don't know, but I think this building's supposed to be bringing people together, and I think that we could do that in a lot of different ways. Whether it's, through, maybe we should be featuring a student of the month too, like.
I would.
Yeah, like I just want to keep including as many people, so that's how I was envisioning it.
I think your idea is wonderful. I think the idea of promoting all these different organizations for volunteering, and I think it's important that you share, not only with the older folks, because like the choir, you guys you're involved in everything.
Hey,
I
I don't
mean,
know if I'm in that group.
Queenagers. But, it's good to show the younger people, because a lot of the younger people don't get involved. It's not like before.
Right.
So if you give them that opportunity, that'd be great.
I think that would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Maybe I will connect with you, because you still have a lot of connections. And,
Yeah,
we have some of the regulars that come in the building
Yeah.
that we can feature, but I also like to feature some who haven't
Yeah.
been, so that we can see what they could tell us they want to see over here. I really want to do
I'm
that.
looking at this thing, this idea, this vision,
Uh-oh.
as something, like a work fair. where you set up
Exactly.
your
Right,
gym.
right.
Exactly.
You have a booth and a booth and a booth and all, and they walk around the gym and, you know, people talk to them about recruiting for the military
Yeah.
or doing something else or doing here, or, you know, just walking around and getting a sense. Put up a big placard and say, this is the Council on Aging, and if you wanna hear anything about the Council on Aging, you know, you have somebody, a representative there doing its thing, you know, and so on. You just walk around and get a sense of all the different,
Right.
you know, the different
Exactly.
committees that are
Didn't we have an
available.
event like this many years
We
ago?
did, and it wasn't as large, you know, I think that the whole town has grown, so clearly an event like this would have to grow. But we haven't done it for a while, and that's what I'm saying, I think that we should get back into providing what we have.
And I agree, we've had it, before, but we just had it in multi-purpose.
Right.
There's tables that committee was set up and some departments was set up. But I really like the idea of spraying it through the whole building, as much as we
Right.
can, and then enlarging it. I don't think, Joe hasn't brought to the board of selectmen, but I don't really think we have a play in this, quite frankly, other than, you know, be informed. But, I would imagine if Joe's asking him to delay, it's probably got to do with his fear of, do we have enough staff support to make it happen?
Sure, and like I said, I'm fine to delay it, I think it would just give us more time to make it
But I think it's
better.
a great idea.
Sure.
so.
It'd be nice if you also had a whole list of all the different organizations that are participating in contact, because lots of times
Absolutely.
people want to get involved, but they don't know who to contact or whatever, and
We
that-
would definitely do
Yeah.
that, put a booklet together that someone
Yes.
could take with them. Because sometimes you don't want to have the conversation, I'm
rather
a
do it
reader, I
later.
like to
Yeah,
take it
right.
home and be like, oh yeah,
I'll
so
think about it,
exactly
yeah.
what you're saying, so.
Good,
um,
good thoughts.
I'd like to say too, that when I retired, I really wanted to volunteer, and I had no idea where to look.
That's like the
And-
family pantry should be here with
Yeah.
us, and we can, and I'm talking about, let's showcase the entire town.
Right,
I mean,
right.
there's
Yeah.
so much,
Right.
and we're all interwoven. I mean, that's one of the greatest things about this town, is that we all help each other, so that's my vision anyway. It might start smaller, but it's gonna grow.
no, I think it's important,
So.
it's important.
And we have a great group of volunteers here, so.
Amen, yeah, they'll all be highlighted, and
And I can, one other comment, I do like your idea, because in the past, I'm not sure we had the attendance we wanted to have in a smaller room. And so the volleyball, something to get people excited other than just coming and looking. Our goal is to get people to know the committees, but you need something to make them, to draw them here too.
you know
Yeah,
me,
I
I'm
like
always
the idea.
good for, drop your ticket in, I'll give you some prizes, you know we
Yeah.
can.
Or coffee and donuts or whatever.
Look, I got a lot of mileage out of some ducks, I can.
That's true.
That is true.
And you're very creative.
The other one I would just want to follow up is, I did have a meeting with Eric, regarding the pavilion idea, and he was in the midst of finishing up this year's
CPC stuff.
CPCs, so we did have our initial meeting,
Yeah.
and we're looping Emily in, because I know it came from the COA side, so I just don't want you to think it got lost, we definitely, and Eric's on,
It's
I
one of
just got
our,
back,
Yeah,
and Eric is on vacation, so as soon as
it's
soon as
one of
we're-
our priorities.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, that'd be
we're-
awesome.
Yeah, we're looking at that for a CPC article this year.
So we'll all get that, together, everyone in the building, just to make that, cohesive, so.
Alrighty then. Moving straight along to your update.
So the duck event was great fun. It was a lot of fun. Some of my favorite, if you go to the picture page in the newsletter, one of my very favorite things, it was a very rainy day, and a very large, you can see the
Yeah.
bookcase, there was a very large state trooper who came in, and he was holding a duck, and he was at least 6'3". I'm sure he was taller. And he had this duck that he looked tiny, and I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble, I must have put it somewhere it didn't go. But nope, he was just out and found a duck, and he was excited to get his prize, and people called, and it was kids, and it was grandparents, and it was families. It was exactly what we want. and then everyone came on that day. It was a good birthday. 22 was good for the community center.
Were there any unfound ducks?
No unfound ducks. Every duck was found and turned in, but the person got to keep their duck. But 22 ducks, 22 people turned them in.
That's awesome.
Who took the pictures? They're really great.
Oh, those are just from my phone. So.
Time to upgrade the phone.
Yeah.
So I think the birthday was a success, and we were grateful that the Chronicle did a lot of nice articles around that, so. And my other update is the budget meeting. Our budget, as you know, we put in was level funded. There was a request to put in the extension of services, our EOSs. I did put that in. I asked for $400 a month for 12 months, $4,800. And I asked for that for family and community programming. I thought if I had $400, we could at least do one program a month. And it might not cost $400 one month, but next month it might be the $800. So I was taking the average of the events that we've done. Unfortunately, it was not supported. And I understand the budget is tight. But my understanding is that we will have an opportunity on one of the Mondays of a selectmen meeting, and Larry, if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me, to go in front of the selectmen and finance committee and just say what wasn't funded and why you think it's important. I am gonna take the opportunity. I understand that they might not, but I think that in a budget the size of the towns, for less than $5,000 to do events for the entire community at least once a month, I need to make the pitch because I feel like I owe it to the community. Unless this board disagrees, in which then I will just say, okay. I know budgets are tight, but
If you want, I'll put it up for a vote.
Have you prepared your budget yet?
yes,
Do we have copies of that?
you do, but I'll get you another one if you'd
Please.
like.
Sure.
Sure.
I'd like to see the.
Sure, yes, and it is on the selectmen's agenda, yes. So the directive was to be level funded, and we were level funded. That was the only thing that was additional, was that asking for program money. So,
No, I agree. I think you should go before them again, show all the different things that you've done and how you wanna promote it. I mean, how many more dump trucks do we need?
Right.
dump trucks are important, and I'm not trying to take away from another.
I'm just saying.
I just feel like we.
Right, we can get one less mirror on it for the $5,000. Does anybody on the committee have an objection to Carolyn doing it?
No.
Okay.
And I think we should back her when she's.
I do, I fully support her.
And I again, I'm gonna say it because I would not be, not wanna be the one making the decision. I understand they're hard decisions, but I think if you don't put it forward, then shame on you.
Right.
Because maybe next year they say, we couldn't do it this year, but she has been asking and there's so we just need to show that there's a need. And I do believe there's a need for programming. I was a little taken back when I heard Larry mention that there was a woman going to another community because there's a program she wasn't getting here, and I'll be curious to find out, I wanna
What
follow
that-
up.
Yeah, really, we'll pick her brain.
What kind of program is it that,
Yeah, right.
we want people to stay in Harwich, we want people
Actually,
coming
good
here.
comment. Pick her brain. She's
Yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah, well, hey, she's on the rec commission, so
And I
hook
think
her
I
up with
also
Carolyn.
list all the
Who?
different things you've
The new
done and
girl.
how it impacts different age
No.
groups.
I do
Sure.
not know.
You
I
know,
haven't
good
heard her.
idea.
because that way they can see you going intergenerational.
But if
Right.
she's saying
It's not
she's
just-
missing a program,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I think that it's
Um,
important that we provide programs for our community
I agree.
from.
Infants.
Infants all the way through.
All the way
Right.
just to make sure that I'm within the, rules, do I have to make a motion on that for us to support you officially?
It would be nice because I can then stand in front of the selectmen and FinCom and say, the facilities committee agrees. I mean,
Right. I'm happy to propose a motion or entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
A motion is support Carolyn and her desire for the $4,800 for the family and committee, community
Why don't you
programming.
leave the number,
I-
just say, why don't
right.
you leave the dollar signs out and just say to support her
Right,
in her
just-
request
Okay.
for additional funding for programs.
Sure.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Carolyn, can I ask about your budget, because again, I'm new on the committee.
Of course.
Do you do a line item budget?
I do.
And when you do your line item budget, do you make, do you develop any kind of rationale for each of the line items that you're requesting?
So I do. The community center budget is probably one of the more unique budgets because the community center budget that I put forth is mostly made up of heat, light, electrical, water for everyone in the building.
Mhm.
So rec doesn't have an electrical line and COA doesn't have that. That comes under my budget. So that makes up, and I'm talking off it's at least 75% of my budget is totally just that.
So you don't do anything programmatically? in
There's
terms of-
$0 in the community center budget for
For
programs.
So
Zero.
you don't list whatever programs that you have nurtured, developed, and with a rationale as to why these programs are valuable to the community and why you
I did in
budgeting?
that, I did in that extension of service, that's
Okay.
exactly what I did. I listed out what we
Okay.
wanted to do, why I came up with the $400 number, you
Right.
know. One month that we do movies, and the movies cost like $1 to rent.
Mhm.
But the next month I did a duck event,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been very fortunate, and the public and the community has been so generous. But I can only keep going back to the well so many times.
Have
At
we
some
ever done
point-
a five-year plan in terms of a strategic plan, in terms of where you see the facilities committee or the facility going within the next 5 years and developing a plan accordingly?
So we had a working draft plan, not like the COA who hired someone. It was just one that the committee put together several years ago. But we've never had a consultant come in and do that with us. We feed off of what Council on Aging's vision is and their report, what Youth and Rec's vision is, and what the selectmen in town is looking for in the building. At one point, the basement has been on that project, on that 5-year plan of redoing that and building out more space and things like that. But I can bring it forward to the last draft one that we had, if you'd
Okay.
like to see it.
Yep.
Sure.
I say this only because in my other life, I had to develop 5-year plans for the school committee, and it gives them a vision as to where the community is going, or the school department is going and moving as far as funding is concerned, programmatically and so on and so forth. So it gives them a sense of where we see Harwich for the next 5 years and what the cost factors are going to be, both indirect and direct costs, okay, so that at least you're upfront with them. You're letting them know beforehand where you're coming from and what to anticipate when you come in annually and look for dollars.
Yeah, I'm happy to. The budget has been, level funded, so, and a level funded budget is definitely not level funded because you need to take in any contractual and still come in at the same number. So a level funded budget, and I'm not as eloquent as Joe puts it, the town administrator, but honestly, there's not money for an extra pen in the Harwich Community Center budget, I can say with confidence. There is no, I would hold it up for anyone to look at. We budget to the dollar. Now, certainly, if heat and things go up, we would go to the finance committee and ask for a funds transfer. But in my opinion, that's what we should be doing. We're custodians of the town building and the town money, and we are doing the best that we can and making it remain open for everyone. So
So you don't build in any kind of contingency in your budget?
Zero is built in.
So then
Specifically,
what- you
that's a
I don't think she's
directive.
allowed.
You know, I'm talking
No,
about
that's a
oil.
directive from the selectmen.
Yeah.
They hold the contingencies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you got oil going up tremendously, you know, with all going around the world right now. I mean, if you put in a level funded budget and all of a sudden you don't have money for oil or gas or whatever else, you know,
That's when you would go in
then you
front
have
of
to go
the
before the selectmen and get it.
Yeah.
FinCom, yeah.
And as Carolyn's mentioned, you know, we're debating this now because, you know, inflation's gonna drive us crazy.
Yep.
But and so we one hand wanna do all the programs, on the other hand, everything's going up, taxes
Yeah.
and all this, how much can you put on people? So it's not an easy, it's a tough discussion. She's like, you know, the comment, and we try our best, and no one's ever happy when it comes out. But, as Carolyn says, level funded actually is about 2.5, because you still have to pay, salary increases that are contractual, you know, insurance,
Healthcare. all that.
healthcare, those are things that have to happen, you know, basically above the level funded.
Right.
But actually, our departments are really doing all they can to keep the expenses, and they're having a tough chore themselves, so, you know, it's across to everyone, trying to manage this. Comment I did wanna make though, on your idea of a 5-year plan, now is a really great time for that, because we're starting the local comprehensive plan. As you've been watching, we're forming a committee to do that. And so this should be part of that, and input into that overall plan for the town. And so the timing is really good to give that some thought about where you see this, Carolyn and everyone, because it would, and then lead that into that discussion group. Because that's supposed to set our vision for the next, at least 5 years, and sort of all that, you know, town growth and so, all that, but this is part of that.
Okay.
But I would suggest we don't hire an expensive consultant to do it.
No.
I don't think you need to
You know, you don't, you get a lot of talent around, you know, I mean, there's a lot of talent everywhere to be able to help you with putting together a 5-year plan or whatever, you know. You develop a
I'll
subcommittee.
bring the draft together and we'll
Yeah.
go over it and see what
Sure.
direction you want us to go in, so, me to go in, so if that works for everyone, give you the information that I have, if that works.
Yes, it does.
Okay. The next thing on the selectmen's agenda for Monday is the revolving fund. We resubmitted what we do with our revolving fund. Our revolving fund is for the weight room. It's one of the simpler ones. It pays for wipes to wipe down, the equipment, it pays for the person to open the gym in the morning. It pays for the equipment and it pays for repairs to the equipment. That's what it pays for, so, I have the report, I can.
How do you
send-
build your revolving account?
How did I build it?
How do you get your, how does the revolving?
The money comes from the
Fees.
participants
Fees.
for the actual weight
Weight
room.
room, okay.
So, yes, so we have that.
So, is there a question about it? Is there, why is it coming up in front of the selectmen? I guess that's my question.
I can respond to that.
Oh, good.
Cause I'm like, it's been around we've had it for years, so.
Right, and I we don't wanna get carried away with it, because Carolyn says it's very straightforward. The questions come up in the past is that we have, you know, Carolyn's mentioned the spending you do here for the community center. That's well documented, and there's controls over that. The concerns come up on the revolving fund, because we keep increasing the number of revolving funds, is, at least some of those, there's not an apparent control function in there. So who's keeping track of it, that you're spending the money as you said you're gonna spend it? You know, the invoices get sent to, town treasurer, and she documents that the invoice is right, but but is a committee spending the money as they said they would? And so that question, and here's, Carolyn does a great job, and that's straightforward, so that's gonna be a short discussion. But that's what drives it overall, it's just, more of a
Accountability.
accountability
So this
for
isn't-
programs themselves.
So the discussion isn't about this specific
not
revolving
gonna
fund,
be about
it's
this.
about
No,
all
I'm sorry.
revolving funds.
I'm
No.
sorry if I.
Oh, okay, I thought it was
I
specific.
apologize.
No, no, no.
It's about all of,
And this is so well done, it's gonna be a short discussion.
so every the town is broken into, every 3 months, we send a revolving report. It gets put in the selectmen's packet, so my revolving fund will tell how many members, and I can include these in your packets if you'd like, I know I had done it in the past. How many people paid, who's paying credit, who's paying cash. We then justify against the finance directors, so that if I say 64 people, hers better say 64 people too. And then we just list out, we buy Amazon gym wipes for, this quarter was $640. Cups for the weight room, because there was you couldn't be using the water fountain
Right.
during COVID, so, we had to buy a carpet sweeper. I mean, it's for the weight room in there. We paid Jill Brown, who is the trainer inside the weight room. We paid Peak Software, which is how you sign in and we keep the records, and Frontline Fitness Repair. So that's a breakdown of everything, and we give this to them, so they can see in October there were 84, November 133, in December there were 91, how much money, what the hours are. So,
So it's essentially an accounting meeting.
yeah, and
Well,
maybe,
Yeah, let me just emphasize, no one's ever accused anyone of misusing funds.
Right.
Putting an invoice through that's not there. This is generally just, committee comes in and says they're gonna do this activity. Are they doing activity or has it been diverted somewhere else? Yeah, and I think that's fair for us to ask that,
Sure.
because we do it with the departments, if Carolyn comes in the department budget, she has to spend this, so she's doing what she says she's gonna do, right? Well, revolving funds sometimes are kind of, we haven't paid attention to them, and now we want to pay a little more, just be sure we're going the right direction.
Okay, well, I'm glad to know ours is, so well buttoned down, there's no question on it.
yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions on it. I feel confident that what we're bringing in is what we're saying we're spending, and
Sure.
I post the report outside of the weight room too for the members to see, as transparent as we can be. That's what we like, so.
Great. Anything else?
Just that we made a decision, only because we had to make it right before they changed the mask mandate. So our, egg event will be like it was last year, where the people make an appointment, we call it a DIY egg hunt. You pick up the bag, it has the eggs in it, you take it to your house and you're doing it.
Which is still amazing.
We got a lot more people doing it that way, so those flyers will be in the next newsletter. It's like we had to do for the Halloween, where just,
Sure.
we were trying to make the best decision at the time, and that was the safest decision then. It may change by the time the event came, but we didn't have enough time to change it midstream, so. So that's where we are, but those events are still happening. The jelly bean guessing count, they're all coming up, so.
That's fun.
Hey, I'm excited about having a Halloween party this year.
Exactly. Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping we still can.
Um,
Other than that,
I think I told you everything I needed to. I'm sorry,
no, I'll poll the room then. Anybody, anything else?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
I have nothing, thank you.
It's well done again.
Yeah, well done,
Nicely
and
done.
thank you very much for all that you do, and everybody in the room.
Carolyn, the only question I have on
Larry?
this,
Oh,
the mask mandate.
hold on.
Thing, the mask mandate, little blurb you have down here.
Yep.
We don't have a mask mandate.
so that's gone in the next issue.
Isn't it?
That was
Okay.
for the last issue.
Who gets these?
You sign up and we'll email it to you. We also print them at the front, and there's a copy for people to just pick up. We do not mail ours, because
Okay.
I don't have that in my budget to
Right.
mail. So we're emailing
So
them,
you
or,
get, so the community is getting, it's being.
We have
A
people-
lot of people getting these.
yeah, it's
Good.
growing I'll
Super.
bring you an info on how many people have signed up.
Good, very good, nicely done.
Over to you, Larry.
one of the things I've been pushing is to reopen the treasure chest.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
that committee's making their presentation on Monday. And so, they've had a series of meetings and been very active, so I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of support for that.
That'd be
Okay,
good.
little public service announcement at the end.
Yes.
I like it.
Exactly.
I'm all
I do.
for it, bring it
Yeah,
on.
Me too.
I did have one other thing
Oh.
that I was remiss in telling you all, I apologize. In the gym, we have a set of bleachers, the first bleachers when you walk in the door, that needs repair, and I did submit that. I do have photos of it if you'd like to see. And I take full responsibility. I had given the town administrator a number that was too low because I was thinking I was going to change one bleacher at a time, and have been very well educated on why that is the worst idea possible. You have to take the room offline, and you would have to take it offline each time, bringing the contractors back, so there were several reasons why. So my information to the town administrator, one is broken, I think I called it unsafe. There is I should have printed the pictures, I
Police
apologize.
tape around it or something?
No, it's completely bad, I apologize, I really should have had these, but let me just show you, and I did submit them, so,
It's okay, Carolyn, we trust you that there's a broken bleacher.
well, it happens, those bleachers are well utilized. Oh, if you can see, can you see it?
Yeah,
Okay.
looks like a bent step.
It is, and once you pull that out, it separates.
Yeah.
So an actual person their
Fall
foot
through.
will fall through, and there's not enough structure to hold on that step. Therefore, we don't pull that bleacher out at all, so.
Is that part of a whole, that's part of a whole?
Yeah, you
know,
cannot replace
whole thing.
replace one. So I did get the quotes and the information and sent them over, but have been able to do, you can see even when it's pushed in.
How long does it take to, replace it? Like if you had to shut the thing down, the gym down?
So they would like it's more than a week.
Wow, okay.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
See, I was trying to do it with just one at a time, but,
February school vacation.
but,
Volleyball twice a week.
Yeah, right.
so I like to let you know when there's something amiss. Eric is well aware of it. We all know that's a bleacher that just doesn't
Do it in
get
the
pulled
summertime
out.
when pickleball go outside.
Yeah, volleyball I'm worried about.
Oh, no. Well,
Do it
it's,
at night.
Do it at night.
I think that they take
I think a week is still a
You're
week.
talking about a whole section coming out?
Yes,
Yeah, the
this
whole
is a whole
section.
section. And ours are wood, and so when the bleacher discussion came up, I originally asked to replace it, because I was thinking I'm gonna replace one at a time. I'm looking into other surfaces of bleachers and what they're made of, and
Yeah.
what the benefit is to the plastic versus plastic is the wrong terminology, but.
Right.
So I will get a thorough report together and present it to the town administrator
You don't
and to
have
all
any,
of you.
you don't have any estimates right now in terms of,
I do have one for the wood ones, and that's the one that
what's that number?
I actually should have brought it, because off the top of my head, I'm not remembering. Larry, do you remember what it was?
Boy, and I should, because I was at the capital outlay committee, it was presented,
Right.
it was it $700,000?
How much?
Ooh.
It's a lot, because
What'd you say,
again,
Larry?
I don't remember the I can,
But it was a big discussion, because they decided to push it off a year at this point. Because it was a big discussion, because, they pretty much reached the amount of money they felt they had
Sure.
available capital budget. And it was almost gonna be a debate whether we hold off on Brooks Academy, the work they're doing the first year, or this. And the committee itself really hated to hold off on Brooks Academy, because that's been ongoing now for 5 or 6
Long
years
time,
discussion, and it needs to be done, it needs to be repaired, it's gonna fall,
Sure.
they wanna do. And so the decision at that meeting, and that was a draft, though, they hadn't voted on it formally yet
Right.
at that point, was to hold off for a year and try to figure out whether you can close that bleacher up.
right.
The decision wasn't whether it needs to be done or not, it was the timing and close to, in reluctance to give up on Bruce Academy at this point.
I don't wanna do that.
No, and I
It's important.
totally agree with the discussion the town administrator had. I was not asking to jump ahead. It just unfortunately happened, and then you know, I brought it forward and didn't realize the scope of how big the work would be, because I didn't, so it was a
Right, so-
learning exercise for all of us,
No.
but that's where we are. It's not a bad thing. It's good that we know it's not working. We'll keep it, but at some point, I need people to know the gym is safe. We can still have our town meetings, everything's great in there, it's
Well,
not a
CPC
problem.
money.
CPC doesn't fix repair, you can't have a repair in a CPC,
Ah.
and that's a repair.
As
But
opposed
it,
to a replace.
well,
You can only repair it if you build it the first time.
Right, and we didn't build it with that.
Technically, we built it the
And it's
first.
not historical.
I don't know, Larry, I think we did build it the first time.
But
And it's not
CPC 's fine.
historical,
Oh,
and it's
there you
not,
go.
we tried to fit it in different
Yeah, yeah.
categories.
That's not,
Work,
can't blame that on Board of Selectmen.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So I apologize, I should have had that for you.
Let's reconsider it in 5 years, shall we?
I'll put it in my 5-year plan.
Oh, Brooks Academy, definitely.
Yeah, no, again, we weren't trying to skip ahead, it was just,
So any way to just get it, I don't know, welded?
so, you know, Sean Libby, which by the way, he, cannot make these meetings due to his work schedule, so I know that was one of the requests that I asked
Okay.
him, and he is, I don't know if he was contacting Anita or the selectmen. I know the proper way is to connect with Anita, but
Right.
he was gonna connect
Okay,
with, I don't know. But yes, he won't be able to make the meeting, so
Should we
there would
select
be.
A replacement?
I'm sorry?
so
Should we
we'll
get a
have an
replacement?
opening.
So you'd have an opening and it would go before the selectmen,
Okay.
and they would advertise for it and interview and then, make an appointment. So,
Great.
but Sean needs to resign first, so there's an actual
Yeah.
opening.
Okay.
Whew, I think that's everything.
Very good.
Does he have to resign?
He does have to resign. I'm right,
Yes.
Larry?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion though, because it's not clear to me whether he should be any case, whether he needs to be a member of the committee or staff support.
He should be a consultant when you need him to come in, you know, to,
Because I think you still want to link with him as staff support.
Right.
And keep him in the chain of communications, whether he's on the committee or not, because I'm not. So I probably, yeah, but he's on the committee, so he has to send a letter to Anita to resign.
Okay. As opposed to the committee requesting his removal.
Yeah, we don't, the only time a committee requests a removal is if person doesn't resign and we have to kick him off.
No, I'm just saying that,
You know, we've recently asked, the committee initiated someone because they left town and had forgotten to send in a formal resignation. And the bylaws are if you miss, oh boy, Carol, help me out. You miss
three consecutive
Three
meetings.
consecutive meetings?
3 consecutive meetings without a reason.
Right, a reason, or, you know, and then we approve, that for Zoom calls or they're out town longer and stuff.
okay.
But if someone just doesn't show up for a while,
Mhm.
and doesn't take the time.
I'll give you a reason why.
Right.
Doesn't take the time to send the letter.
He's around, so he should be able to do it, otherwise, we definitely have the 3-meeting
John will do it.
thing down.
Yeah, of course.
So, plus, of course, he'll always be connected to the building because,
Right.
you know, he works on it. Okay, so since I've rounded everybody, I'm gonna close the meeting. It's 11 o'clock officially. So,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
I love it, 1 hour.
Exactly.
Thank
Very
you all.
Thank you,
good.
everybody, for attending.
Volleyball